Does the Constitution only apply to citizens? Nope.
The Constitution applies to all people, not just to citizens.
While citizens and non-citizens, in some circumstances, do have different kinds of rights, non-citizens don't have the right to vote, whereas citizens do. For the most part, the core guarantees of freedom in our Constitution apply to everyone within the territory of the United States, no matter what their citizenship or even immigration status.
The most important provisions that you think of are probably the due process protection, the right to be free from infringement of their liberty, but also equal protection.
I think it's important because it reflects the values of our country, which is that your protection should not depend on whether or not you're a citizen of the United States, but should apply to folks regardless of their origin and regardless of their legal status.
Just because the government says, like, hey, you're not a citizen, doesn't mean that you can be treated as a non-person or somebody without rights.
A lot of the core promises of the Constitution apply to everyone who is on U.S. land.
Does the Constitution mention God? No, it doesn't, with one tiny exception, and that exception is at the very end of the document. When the framers in 1787 signed their names to the document, they said, "In the year of our Lord." Other than that, no mention is made of God anywhere in the document.
It does mention religion, but only in the context of making it clear that we prohibit religious discrimination. We can't have a law saying, well, if you want to be a member of Congress or Secretary of State, then you have to be a Protestant, right? That's right out.
The First Amendment does protect the practice of religion, and very importantly, the freedom from a forced religion by the nation state. Does the Constitution allow flag burning? Yep.
The Supreme Court has ruled that flag burning, regardless of how offensive it is to so many, does represent protected speech.
The First Amendment of the Constitution, which protects free speech, has been held by the Supreme Court to protect an individual's right to burn the American flag, or any other flag for that matter.
Texas versus Johnson invalidated laws against flag burning on the grounds that it's a form of speech. Now, of course, not all kinds of flag burning are going to be constitutionally protected. The ordinary laws of property, for example, still apply. You can't go burn somebody else's flag. You can't burn a flag or a cross on somebody else's property. But the simple expressive act of choosing to burn this symbol is really at the heart of the protected speech of the First Amendment.
The First Amendment doesn't simply protect speech that we agree with. It also protects speech that may be the hardest to hear.
Does the Constitution guarantee due process? Indeed, it does. Due process, I think, is best understood as the right to be treated fairly.
What this means is that the government has to act fairly. It has to give notice, establish a hearing, allow people to defend themselves before taking away life, liberty, or property.
Each person has the right to be protected from infringement on their personal liberty or their property by the government, and they are required to be given a set of procedures to follow to rebut if the government's trying to infringe upon that.
And without it, in a lot of ways, all of the rest of our law falls away. Take the First Amendment. Well, that's great, but if you don't have due process, then the president could still lock you up for your speech because he wouldn't have to give you a trial where you could say, hey, wait a minute, this violates the First Amendment. So due process is the foundation of all of our other rights.
What is the most important purpose of the Constitution? The Constitution sets up our government and it limits its power. First, it gives the power and authority to the government, and then it also protects individual freedoms from the abuses of that power.
It doesn't really have much to do with the relationship between you and me and individuals or individuals and their employers. There are plenty of laws that deal with that, but the Constitution is really about the protections of individuals against governmental and public action.
What's really important about the Constitution in the United States is that it was developed in response to a specific social order of laws where there were literally people, monarchs and the elite classes who were above the consequences of violating social norms and laws. It's enacted to make sure that the United States is a nation of laws.